This is the Marketing Boss Podcast, where today's top marketing professionals reveal their best tips, tools, and strategies, and we all become better leaders because of it. And here's your host, video marketing expert, Parshell Houghton.
Hey everybody, it's Parshell with the Marketing Boss Podcast. Today, I am so excited today to have Derral Eves on the show with us today. Derral, welcome to the show.
Hello, Parshell. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, guys, just to give you guys some insight into Derral, I'm really excited just because Derral's also a video marketing brother from another mother type of relationship here. So I'm really excited because video is what we do. And so when you can combine video with marketing, it's going to be an explosive conversation. So I'm excited. To give you guys a little bit of information about Derral, he is a video YouTube expert. He's been, since he started his marketing company in 1999, he's worked with some of the top brands, businesses, and YouTube channels in the world. Some of his top clients include Studio C, CZX Live, Corvus, the Piano Guys, Red Bull, Adobe, ABC, NBC. You guys, this guy is like, he's done it all. And he finds a lot of satisfaction taking on those impossible projects, doing the things that people thought couldn't be done. So he's bringing to the table a lot of creativity, and he's helped to generate billions of views and worked on some really neat projects. One in particular, the unicorn poop, which won the Ad of the Year in 2015 with the Webbies. So this is going to be an exciting conversation. So, Derral, thanks again for being here. I'm so excited.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I love how my resume deals with unicorn poop. That's awesome, right?
Hey, that keeps it exciting. You don't want it to be boring. So I'm so, it's cool with me.
Yeah, but you got to imagine, I got 5 kids, and when my kids, they ask, well, my dad's a fireman. What does your dad do? He makes unicorn poop on the internet.
Well, they're going to bring you back next time. So
That's right.
Oh, man. Well, tell me how you got into, the world of marketing. How did you get to this place?
Well, I'm a byproduct of good parents that knew how to market in the beginning. I'm one of 10 kids, and my dad was adamant that each one of us actually would raise money and get businesses and start. So I was an entrepreneur at a very young age. I had multiple paper routes. I sold pizzas. I did whatever I could. And when I got a little bit older, 12, I bought my first piece of ground and made a lot of money on it. And what's great from that is I learned that everything that exists in the world deals with marketing in one aspect or another. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're a nonprofit. It doesn't matter if you're a local business. Marketing is the core to get the message out, because if nobody knows what you're doing, you're going to fail. Doesn't matter how great you are, you're going to fail. And I'm like, oh, man, at a very young age, I was fascinated with all aspects of how to market and how to persuade. And it kind of went from there. And so I went on to school. I actually served in a Mormon mission. I was one of those missionaries that you see out in the world. I was in South America for 2 years, came back, went to school. And, of course, my interest was in communications with an emphasis in marketing and advertising. And so was able to do that and kind of grow from there. And then for me, where I live, we were kind of talking about this a little bit before the podcast started, but I live in southern Utah. Just my backyard is Zion National Park. If you guys ever want to see something so beautiful, you got to Google that for sure. Unless you've been here, then you can agree with me. But I really love where I live, and I wanted to stay here. And there's not a lot of high-paying jobs here. And so when I was going to school, even though I was getting my degree in marketing, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go into hospital administration because they pay actually pretty decent in the area, and I don't have to go, get my doctor's degree or anything like that. And got my dream job. I was working for a regional hospital as the assistant director of public relations. And my goal right then and there was become the hospital administrator as fast as I could. And keep in mind, I'm one of the guys that I don't like to wait around. for to get what I'm looking to do. I actually got a 4-year degree in 2.5 years, and I'm one that, as soon as I set my mind to it, I'm gonna go there and get it. So anyway, I was at the hospital and was there for 6 months, and I realized that I saved the hospital $680,000 for me working with them. They didn't have to outsource. I'm kind of a weird guy, so I actually can design and program. And I did their corporate websites and did a lot of their publications that they didn't have to outsource. And so I went to my boss's boss, who is a CFO, and I was talking to the CFO, and the CEO comes walking by, who I wanted his job, in a few years. And we had a conversation, and this conversation went like this. Hey, I saved X amount of dollars, and they're like, oh man, that is so awesome. Derral, you did so great. We're just so excited to have for you. We heard that you're accepted in the master's program in hospital administration. This is going to be a great thing. And I says, well, what I would like, I'm trying to provide for my family, and I'd like $10,000 a year more, in my pay. And they're like, oh no, Derral, you'll be making more than your appropriate supervisor, and we can't do that. I'm like, well, I just saved you $680,000, and you're telling me you can't do that? And this is the kicker. This is the kicker here. And then the CEO goes, well, Derral, I see in 15 years that you're gonna run this hospital. I'm like, 15 years? I thought I could do it in 5. So I called up my wife. I said, I'm quitting. There's no way I'm going to work for this company. And I did. And she's like, okay, whatever you do, don't go out on business on your own. So I had a lot of job offers and a lot of great stuff. But it would pull me away from where I live, and I love where I live. And so I wasn't going to do that. So I was, we're kind of God-fearing people, me and my wife. And so we prayed about it. She felt really good. I started my own business. And when you start a business, do you know what you do? You have to go to Staples and buy a desk. So that's what I did. My wife got sick of me having the computer on the kitchen table, right? Mm-hmm. So I went to Staples, and this is kind of a pivotal moment for me. Went into Staples and was picking out a desk, but I knew I needed a printer too. So I went over to the printers, and this guy goes, excuse me, sir, could you tell me the difference between this model and this model? And I'm like a techno geek. I mean, I'm like, okay, this Epson printer prints so many pages per second, blah, 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 blah. And then this one, does the same thing, and this is a better value. And he goes, man, you are the best Staples employee that I've ever come across. And I like look down, and I have this red polo shirt on. I'm like, oh no. I told him, I'm not a Staples employee. I told him my story. And the big thing that happened that day is I left Staples with a desk and a printer and a check for $300 to my first client. And I still have that client today. And no, it wasn't easy going and doing, starting a business. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of pivots. But what I did learn is it's all about your story. It's all about what you have to tell the world, and then how you package it. That's what marketing. That's what marketing is. And so in '99, I started to do a lot of online marketing. And in those days, it was called, well, we call it now spam. So it's doing a lot of that. But that's kind of how I got started. That was kind of a long story to tell you how I got started, wasn't it?
Well, no, that's an amazing story, and that's so cool too that client is still yours today. That's amazing. It
is, and we've had fun together. We were able to grow together, and I really haven't bumped up his monthly cost because I just like him so much, and it was just kind of one of those things, one of those pivotal moments, in my career.
Man, that is awesome. So I know that you're huge on YouTube, of course. That's your platform. And I see too you have a ton of subscribers. I am certainly interested and always inquisitive about that, when it comes to how different businesses, organizations, or even people like yourself can grow such a great presence online, because it's one thing, of course, to do video and have great video out there, but it's another thing to where you have consistent numbers in terms of people who are interested, engaged, and subscribing on a regular basis. Because you guys, I don't know if you know, Derral has over, I think it's almost 290,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel, and he, and he's also YouTube certified. And I'm really interested in terms of just hearing more about, in particular, how to grow a base on YouTube, and how you've been able to do that.
Well, that's a great question, and it deals with another story, because I think you have to understand a little bit more than that. Now, my YouTube channel, I only spend 45 minutes a week, and I've done that since 2013 to get to those 290,000 subscribers.
Really?
But there's different things that you can do to understand, and I treat it. Well, let me just kind of explain how I got into video marketing and YouTube, and then it will help answer that question. But I was on Craigslist, because that's what you do when you want to expand your business and you're looking for office furniture that you don't want to buy at Staples because it's a little bit too much, right? And you're expanding, and that's what I was doing in 2005, November of 2005. And I came across this ad, and it said, hey, if you get 100 people to sign up for this website, you can get one of those iPods. And the iPod was really hot back then, and it's the iPod that's like the size of a brick, that if you threw it at someone, it would actually kill them. That size of iPod. And I'm like, hey, I love it. And so I went to this place called YouTube, and it was really cool. It had videos, and there wasn't a huge buffering problem that it had on other sites. And it was really easy to upload. And I'm like, man, this is really cool. So I spammed everyone. I got that iPod, and I started on YouTube. And during that time, I was doing a lot of search engine optimization for a lot of clients around the world. And I found that when I actually uploaded a video, and this is in early 2006, that it showed up on the top results in Google. I didn't have to do much. And by the late 2006, it was just dominant, because that's when Google bought YouTube for $1.3 billion. And crazy from it is I didn't have to do much. And I just had to have a good title and a little bit of a description, and it would rank. And so that next year I spent, and we ranked 685 different videos, and they all showed up on page 1. And what I noticed from there was the videos that actually had a message, and we took time to develop that, they were converting, and it was getting a lot of leads. I mean, a lot of leads. It was getting a lot of sales, because, the best type of marketing that you could ever do is word of mouth. The second is virtual word of mouth, which we can do more now with social. But after that, it's video, because you can really engage someone. And I learned that at a very early time in the infancy of video marketing. And I went full bore in. I went with doctors, dentists, lawyers, pest control companies, auto repair, whatever it was. I was working with them, getting their video message out, getting it ranked, and getting the leads come in. And it was great. And I had a local pest control company was going into a piano store, and he started to spray because we have cockroaches because we're in the desert, right? So he's spraying for cockroaches, and the piano store owner says, hey, do you know anyone that understands marketing and can do our website, and then also, has a really good understanding of YouTube? And he goes, oh yeah, you got to use Derral. He does all my stuff. In fact, how you found me was through a video, and, he does great. So I went in and talked to this guy, and he was trying to sell pianos online by using these amazing videos. He'd record these amazing videos where he put a piano on top of a cliff, and then they would record it, and so on and so forth.
Oh, wow.
And it was just beautiful. And I says, well, how many pianos have you sold? He says, none. I'm like, well, maybe we need to pivot a little bit. And they did pivot. Instead of being a piano store, they actually just made inspirational piano music. And before you know it, they went from a non-existent YouTube channel. Within about a year, they had 1.8 million subscribers and hundreds of millions of video views. And what that did to me was really help identify that there is a power of the audience. And when I could send out an email and have them make $80,000, or they can make $187,000 in a day just by making one video, it's pretty powerful. And so for that, I tried to pivot. I actually sold off all my local clients that I had in internet marketing, and I just kind of downsized from there. And I just focused on helping content creators market their stuff. And what happened then is I became very well known in some inner circles that's there. And the people that I worked with, their channels just started to take off because I was doing best practices and I was trying to understand YouTube as much as I could. There was a point that I got sick of answering the same questions for my clients. And so I'm like, hey, might as well start a YouTube channel and answer the common questions that people have about YouTube. And I'm going to do that. So I actually put a plan together. I knew exactly what videos I was going to do over the course of a year. And I basically said, okay, all I have is 45 minutes a week. And because I actually own a company that is very profitable and we do a lot of stuff. So this is all I can designate for that. And that's what I did. And my goal was this. I wanted to get 10,000 subscribers in that first year. And second, I wanted to get, 1 million video views. And the third thing is by the end of the year, I wanted to be the number one person that teaches about YouTube on YouTube. And there were some pretty big names. A couple of them had, 30, 40,000, 50,000 subscribers. And in the first 4 months, I was able to get that 10,000 subscribers and 1 million video views. By the end of the year, I was the number one. Pretty much, I was on a great trajectory, and it wasn't bad for only doing 45 minutes a week, which is awesome.
Man, I love that. I mean, just to hear you set a goal and you hit it, like that's music to my ears.
Yeah, so with that, in developing an audience, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You really need to understand what people are looking for and provide value. And there's only 3 ways to provide value. You can inspire, you can educate, or you can inform. And if you're really good, you can do all 3 in a video, or you can do 2 in a video. And that's where you can really grow an audience. And there needs to always be a call to action. And not all of them are to sell things. What you need to do is really foster a community. And so you need to say, hey, if you like this video, tell me what you liked about it, put it in the comments. But also, I have more content that's just like this. So why don't you subscribe? Just doing a small call to action. And that's where people, you're able to grow. And so with this, I mean, I have other YouTube channels that have a lot more subscribers than I have on this one. But the reality is I helped a lot of creators do it. And it's all about connecting with the creator or connecting with the message where they feel attached to it. And they feel like, okay, I'm gonna literally follow this person and I'm gonna hit subscribe and they're gonna be a part of my week, just kind of like what your podcast is.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'm gonna say I'm definitely intrigued here. When you say you only spend 45 minutes a week, what exactly is going into that time? I know time is precious, of course, now as more and more things are put on our plate as marketers, as leaders of organizations and businesses. What are you doing in that 45 minutes?
So what I do is I do a quick search on my YouTube channel. I tag some things out and had my audience get familiar how to ask me questions. I look for some common questions that people have, and or if there's anything in the industry news that I need to talk about. I write down a couple bullet points. I'm pretty well versed in video marketing, so I can just stand up and just talk about it at any time. So I just go to my studio, which is I got 2 studios here at my office. One that's in my office itself, and then and that's one that you actually see on the my channel. And I have a full green screen room, in the back. But I just turn on the camera and record, and then I come and generally I do the edit. I actually have someone that can do the edit, but we're just so slammed with other projects. It's just faster for me to do it for right now. and then I just upload it and add the meta information, and I answer comments for about 15 minutes, and then I go on with my day. So that's the 45 minutes. So
that's amazing. And I know people nowadays are always like, well, it is really worth my time, which absolutely know, you and I know absolutely it is, especially if you're a business, that has an audience that has questions,
And so my biggest thing is I do a lot of consulting for some top brands. You named a few before. And there's a lot more that I do. And so when people are looking for an expert, there are a lot of people that can talk about it. There's a lot of people that can teach, but what I found really sells my company and me is I practice what I preach. Look, I'm a creator too. I know the pains of what creators go through because I go through the same process. The only difference is, they're doing a full career out of it. I'm only using it as a way to give back to the community, but also it generates anywhere between 300 and 400 leads a day for me, that translates in some type of money. And so, it's a very powerful way, to get a presence, but also when somebody's looking at your profile, then they're like, hey, this guy knows what he's talking about. So.
Absolutely. And this is gold. I'm really loving this conversation just because, again, just to see and to hear from you, you're practicing what you're preaching. And that really is what stands out. People, and those who are listening, you guys check out Derral's, check out his YouTube channel. Definitely subscribe because there's some great information there. But you guys can see he knows what he's talking about and he's definitely practicing what he preaches. I know too, like when it comes to video, sometimes it seems like there's a gap between producing the content and then actually getting it seen. That seems to be like the biggest gap that's there. Is there any advice or things that you would share in terms of how
absolutely.
people can make sure there's traffic, that, they're getting the views that they want and actually getting work or getting leads, whatever the result is that they want?
So that's great. There's some projects that you're going to spend a lot of time on. We're currently in 3 different projects right now. All of them we've been planning since May or June. And so we're putting a lot of time and effort into it. The first one, actually, we go to start producing the ad in a couple of weeks, like just the last part of September. And what's amazing from it, and there's certain things, if you really want to succeed, if you really want to have success, you need to put some planning in the type of content that you're actually creating. And then also, taking time to really figure out the messaging. And so the most valuable information that I like to give people whenever I go out there, some people don't find it valuable because they just think, oh yeah, it's no big deal. And they kind of push over it and they totally lose out. It's like when we did the Squatty Potty, pooping unicorn ad that sold tens of millions of dollars in product. It all came back down to a very specific plan, how we were going to engage, get people to be vested and want to share the video. And then we actually created, got the right people in so that we could actually get the creative where it needed to be. And then, I'm sorry. Hello? Can you not hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Still there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have
no
idea
hear me?
what. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
That's so weird. I have no idea what happened. You were right in the middle of talking about the unicorn project. So maybe we can just start at the beginning of that part and then just pick up from there. For sure.
So, when we started working on the Squatty Potty unicorn ad, there's a lot of time and effort that went into it and getting the right messaging. And what I found is that people don't put enough time in really planning the message that they're going to get. They just say, oh, yeah, no, this is not really valuable. I'm going to just turn on the camera. I'm just going to do it. And that's why a lot of the products fail. and when we look at it, Squatty Potty that sold tens of millions of dollars worth of product was able to be so successful is because of all the time that we actually planned in the preparation of that video. And so not every video you have to put so much time and effort into it, but you should ask 8 things before you make any piece of content. Doesn't matter if it's video, doesn't matter if it's an email, doesn't matter if it's a Facebook post. If it is for business, you need to literally go through this. And once you go through this exercise enough, then you are giving it proper thought and analysis to make a really good piece of content. And the questions that I always ask myself is, why am I going to make this content? Okay. What's the purpose of this content? Is it to sell product, drive offline sales? Okay, that's great. Maybe it's for brand, influence or influencing consideration, like changing someone's opinion about something. Okay, that's great. Maybe it's just to go through and take a little bit of time and help give back to your clients or your audience. Okay, that's great. So why are you making the content? The next thing is that you need to ask, who is your competition? And you need to understand who's competing for the same target audience that you're actually going after. But I always ask this question, in addition to who my competition is, are they really competition or are they strategic partners? And rarely have I ever found that there is true competition. There's always a way to use someone that you think might be a competitor, but would actually be a strategic partner. And then who are you trying to reach with your content? And you got to drill down and be very specific who they are, who's the core audience, who's the target demographic. And then we already talked about the value proposition. Like every piece of content should have value. What value will you bring in a video ad? What's that value going to be? What's the core message and tone for the content? And where are you going to actually distribute it to have maximum reach? And then lastly, what does success actually look like? And it's success for the purpose of the video. And you can't say, well, it's going to be an ever-ending thing. But you can say, okay, I would like this video to convert so well that we get X amount of percentage of people that watch it that actually go to the landing page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are definitely key questions to ask. I mean, especially the first one. Why are we doing it in the first place? Because a lot of people will just say, "Oh, I'm going to do a video," and then they're all over the place, and there's certain things that the audience needs to understand is when you watch a video, what's your tolerance level of staying through that video? And someone that really didn't do a lot of great preparation in the video isn't going to necessarily have the most amazing video unless it's edited perfectly to do what it wants, what you want it to do. But in the same sense, if you have a plan going in, then you're able to get all the stuff that you do need, and you can go from there. And what I want to share with you is you have to hook them. So on YouTube, you have 5 to 7 seconds. On Facebook, you have 3 seconds without sound. And so you need to understand, okay, if I'm making this content, how can I actually pull them in? How can I hook them? And then if you can get them for the 5 to 7 seconds or 3 seconds, you got them for 20 seconds. Except on Facebook, you have 20 seconds without sound. I know it's kind of weird, but it is until you can engage them enough to click the sound on it. But that's the way that it is, right? Mm-hmm. And then once you can hook them in for the 20 seconds, they'll stick around for a minute. And if you're compelling in the minute, they'll stick around for another minute. And if you're more compelling in that, you can actually stick around a lot longer, and you can do it. And you can have the longest ad that you want as long as you're engaging. Does that make sense? No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, our attention spans are like fading by the day, it seems. So that definitely is.
It really is. And there's a lot of clutter out there. And it's interesting. It's just really interesting. How to really engage someone. We actually had a lot of marketing experts, people in our industry that says, hey, that Squatty Potty ad is way too long. You should cut it down. And the other executive producer who brought me on, his name's Jeffrey Harmon, and he's just an amazing guy. We had this conversation, and I'm like, well, no, I don't believe that it's too long, because the data doesn't lie. And plus, the question that I always ask them is, will you watch the whole thing? Well, like, well, yeah, I watched the whole thing because I was watching it for you. But that what's crazy from it, just so that you understand, that 92.6% of the people that started that video watched it to the end.
Wow.
For that first part of the campaign. And that right there totally told the industry that they don't know what they're talking about when it deals with video content, because if you can really make content that engages and you bring value, you educate, you inspire, you entertain, our video in that one, it entertained them while educating them, and it made a good piece of content.
Absolutely. Now, in terms of the hooks, because those are really key, like how to keep people engaged for that long, what do you find in particular, in context are good hooks, let's say? What are the things or the elements that should be there to keep people engaged?
That's where these questions come. That's why it's so important to ask those questions, is who you're trying to reach with your content. If you understand who you're reaching, some trigger points. Also, if you know the core audience of that audience that you're looking for. So you have an audience, but there's a kind of a core to that, and that target demographic, then you can actually appeal to them. So what would appeal to my mom doesn't necessarily appeal to me. And so it's understanding, what they're going through, and have a little bit better research on how to engage them across the board. If you're trying to reach, a more broad demographic, then you basically show a unicorn pooping ice cream, and that keeps their attention. But you don't have to do crazy stuff like that. But what I'm getting at is there's ways to really keep people in, and that's kind of the craft that you can go through. But if you properly think, what would I do in this scenario? So for you, I bet you watched a video or two the last couple days, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, did you share any of those videos?
Yes.
And why did you share the video?
I shared it with a friend or a family member, and I think at one point we had a conversation just about that particular topic, a few days ago or a week ago or whatever, and decided to share it. And then, it's just funny. It's entertaining. It gives you a good laugh, and so that's why I shared it when it did.
That right there, that's the whole thing about it, is you found value, and the first thing that you thought, oh my gosh, I need to share this with so-and-so, right? And that right there is a sign of a really well-crafted video. Now, some of those videos could be accidental moments that are happening, but we're talking business here. So we're talking, other ways. And so if we're a little bit more strategic of what can I actually do to make my content good enough that people would have value, would find value enough that they resonate with the message, and that they'll share it. And the message could be funny. The message could be inspirational, but they're going to share it. And that's when you have total success. Because for me, what did success actually look like for the Pooping Unicorn ad? It was get people to watch it to the end and go and buy the product, number one. But number two would become our social army, the ones that are actually sharing it with the rest of the world, saying, hey, this is so funny or it's so engaging, I want to share it and put it on my social profile. And that's why this had 2 million shares at the beginning of the campaign. People just found it absolutely great that they wanted to share it with somebody else, or ridiculous they wanted to share it with somebody else. And then also that didn't include everyone that was commenting in the video itself and tagging people, saying, hey, you need to check this out.
Wow.
But ultimately, that's what it comes back down to. It does. It's like, okay, how can you bring enough value that people want to share it? And if you can think about that in those 8 questions, I think, it doesn't matter if it's the most boring content in the world. If you're trying to, like I always look at it this way, making content for an accountant or someone that is a CPA doesn't have to be funny. Doesn't have to be it has to be educational. and it can bring value. And you can have boring content that people will engage with as long as you understand that's what the audience wants.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's it's funny too because in some cases, we work with industries that are considered to be boring, and it's like once you get in there, it's actually not, and it's certainly not boring for the people that they're helping. So it's about their audience and who they're wanting to connect with.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Derral, this has been so awesome. Like as we wrap up here, what would be some final comments you want to leave the audience with?
So the final comment I would have to say is, doesn't matter where you're at, video should be a component of your marketing. And let me tell you why. Because the powers that be and where social interaction is going, it's getting people more vested socially. And that's a powerful way to actually sell, because that virtual word of mouth is the second best way to get people to buy, and it's converging at a fast rate with video. Facebook has put a lot of emphasis on live video and video itself. Other platforms are now putting video, like Twitter is putting more video content in there as well, and then. It's something that people can really engage with, and the way that it's evolving is core, and the way that it's actually expanding into the rest of the world, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just changing the way that marketing has been, and it's really catering to the new online consumer who consumes information very quickly in micro moments, 5 ways. And they definitely do it at a fast pace. And so always consider doing your video so that it shows up really well for mobile devices, and have some some part of your strategy where it includes video. And now, don't think that you have to actually do the video yourself. You can have video as a component, or hire people to do some of the things that we're talking about, and just go for it. That's what I think. Absolutely.
Well, this has been great advice and a wonderful interview. Like I said, I love talking about video. It's what we do, and it's just a really, really great time together. So before we jump off here, where can people connect with you if they want to reach out, or they have questions, or want to get involved in what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to find out more about me, you can go to DerralEves.com, and it's spelled DerralEves, or go anything social and type in Derral Eves, same way. I'm out there, and it's great. And if you really want to learn a lot, I do a lot of basic level and also mid-level training on video and video marketing on my YouTube channel. And if you really want to learn a lot and really jumpstart your video marketing career, just head over to vidsummit.com. I put on a conference every year where I bring all the experts in every field and pull them together, and then we just basically talk about things that are happening and working now. We show case studies, and then also we're able to showcase where the industry is actually going. And it's really interesting because 3 years ago when we started this, we were talking about live video would be where it's at, and it's because the convergence of social and that live interaction. And we had a lot of people that were there in the audience that was listening, and now there's some of the top content creators when it comes to live on the internet now. It's just great. And so you can find that at vidsummit.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing and being with us today. And for those who also want to connect with us on social media, be sure to check me out, Partial Hot. I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And also, especially for the listeners, be sure to join our private LinkedIn group. It's called the Marketing Boss Club. And that's where other marketing professionals like you, me, we can collaborate and grow together. So again, that's the Marketing Boss Club. The Marketing Boss Club on LinkedIn. So you guys come in and join that group. So again, Derral, thanks again for being here. I really appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, you guys, that does it for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, remember, a good boss is a good leader. Let's go out there and serve our gifts to the world because you're the boss. All right, you guys, take care. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Marketing Boss Podcast with your host, video marketing expert, Herschel Houghton. We'll catch you next time.